flight controllers, listen up. Give me a go, no go for launch. Booster.
Go.
Retro.
Go.
Vital.
We're go fly.
Guidance.
Guidance go.
Procedures.
Go.
Inco.
Go.
FAO.
We are go.
Capcom.
We're go fly.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's entertainment.
Well, hello. It's all my little friends with all their little dreams.
Boom. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us. We've got us a guest on tonight. We're going to call him the Iceman, Freeze Man. You just call him Al if you want to, but it's Refrigeration Confidential. He's on the witness location program, and we brought him on here to get to know him a little bit better and kind of ask him different things. What's going on, guys?
Eddie called us the royal couple.
Yeah, right.
I think he's referring to you and Chloe.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they can see her. She's kind of down low. So, Iceman, how you doing out there, man?
Hi, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, so, yeah.
I'm in a little bit of delay right now.
Sweet. Yeah, hopefully there ain't too much of a delay. But yeah, if you guys haven't checked out Refrigeration Confidential, I've got his link to his site there in the show notes down there. Check him out. He mainly does, you said you'd mainly do grocery store refrigeration?
Yeah, mainly supermarket. That's all I do.
So if you're like me and you want to know more about it because you're kind of getting into it, he's the guy to watch because that's all his stuff's focused on, which is great for me. So, and then if you're just curious about it, once again, it'd still be great to check it out because he's working all on the current stuff. And I'm sure you probably run the old stuff too, don't you?
Yeah, there's still a lot of stuff that they haven't cut over. Like we were talking a little bit earlier, those control controllers that you can't even see them. They're so old, they don't even make any more parts for them.
Yeah. Or on our case, the displays started going out so you can't read them. I don't know. Is that what's failing on the ones you've got?
Yeah, the screen's going out. I've built like Frankensteins. I've grabbed screens of one controller, keyboards off another one, and just put them together. I'm just trying to make it work. I'm all right, put it in and it works. I'm like, all right. Then on the back of it, there's a dial for the screen. I guess when you twist it, you can see it light up. And I've had to rig them where I put them right in the perfect spot where you can finally see the screen for the other guys.
Yeah, we actually used a laptop and we're running, I don't know, it's a DOS program, I think, or something like that. We had to log into the laptop to be able to control it, and it's not as easy as what it is to run it off the control panel, that's for sure. So.
And apparently
it's through 5K.
You're famous because Laska says he knows you.
Laska knows everybody. So.
That's interesting. He knows the mysterious Refrigeration Confidential. I got to say, I love your videos. I've just recently started getting into them here over the last couple of weeks, but the editing is awesome. And the way you incorporate the memes and the funny things into the video is just really, really good. I really like it.
The sound bites and stuff. Yeah.
I'm trying to push the limits until I get in trouble until YouTube is like, no, you can't. That's copyright. You can't do it. I'm like, all right.
I think they're really well done. So
They'll let you
if
know
you guys
when that
haven't
happens.
checked out Refrigeration Confidential yet, definitely give them a shot. It's awesome.
Yep, I think so too. That's the reason why we brought him on here. So, I mean, and then next week we've got a special guest coming too who works for Emerson themselves. But I'll let you guys know his name a little bit later. I got it.
Don't spoil it.
Okay, well, I ain't letting you know until later.
You got to save some for later.
Yeah.
You always just diarrhea of the mouth.
Yummy.
Which, speaking of you and diarrhea, that reminded me of something.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You on to it again?
But if I can reach, I got T-Rex arms. So someone had a very big weekend.
People already know about it. It's over with. It's done with.
I know, but we could still say it for Ricky on Friday.
Happy friggin' birthday.
Happy freaking birthday.
And it was pretty good. She kind of like tried to surprise me, got a hold of the dispatcher, got her phone number and texted her directly. And I thought, man, she probably got the day off for me. We're going to go do something fun.
You would have had a cow.
Hell no. We didn't do that. So I was like,
Man, you got to pay the bills, man.
Yeah, well, I got vacation. I got vacation time. I never take it ever. Hey, what's up, Chris? And, you know, it's like, I would have been okay with it. It was Friday even. I mean, how often is your birthday on Friday? Every 7 years. So it's like, man, that'd been perfect. I've been like, I've been all right with that. But yeah, it went pretty good. So, you know, and then since I did the video from my truck, having them wish her a happy birthday, she decided to do something for me that night. She was up to like 1 o'clock. I'm like, I'm going to bed. And I knew she was playing in the studio a little bit earlier. Next thing I know, she's like, hey, check this out. Look what I did. I'm like, what? I'm like, then she did that thing that some of y'all seen. So I took it down because it's, you know, it's over with. So, but yeah.
Yeah, he ruined my fun.
It's good enough. Once the day's over, it's over. So thank you all the ones out there that wished me the happy birthday. And if you didn't, I still love you all the same. So, yeah. Anyhow, getting back to our guest here. Sorry to like ramble on there. It happens sometimes. Diarrhea of the mouth, you know.
Yeah, just like I said.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of like, you know, how long you've been in the field and stuff like that.
Been in the field since they threw me in when I was 20 years old.
And you're
so
900
pretty
now?
much now I'm like about to be 38 this year, so 17 years in the trade.
Wow. So
and
yeah,
it's been mainly just supermarkets. That's all I've ever known. So straight to racks, no self-contains, ice machines, none of that. Just here you go, straight to the racks. Get to it.
now what kind of hours do you work? I mean, are they like crazy? Do you guys got a bunch of people on call? How often are you on call? Stuff like that.
The most standard on call is 1 weeknight and then 1 weekend out of the month.
That's it?
Wow.
How many guys you got
Yeah,
on
but
rotation?
It depends on the guys. Yeah, it depends on how many guys you have and how many accounts. So it probably should be 1 tech per 15 stores. So
Oh, wow.
To gauge it off. But yeah, but if you're on call, you're pretty much 95 to 99% you're going to get called out.
Yeah. Like
That's
nonstop.
guaranteed.
Yeah.
No, like how many miles or whatever are you covering? Because if you got that many people, it sounds like you're kind of working a big account here. So you're covering probably a really large area, or is it just a lot of stores?
Well, it's a
close
lot
by?
of stores, a lot of accounts. So I'm in SoCal, so pretty much mainly San Diego, IE. Those are the mainly areas I work in.
But there could be, I mean, I've never been there, but I know it's definitely the bigger cities. So, I mean, you might have quite a few of your stores, kind of like a McDonald's would be. I mean, there's probably a lot of them because there's so many people. Is that correct? Or
Oh yeah, there's a lot of so let's just say you have supermarket, you know, this account A, B, C. So depending how many accounts you have, you'll stay real busy. So for us, we have a good amount. So we're constantly just running around in circles.
wow, because like we only have like 3. Well, we had 4 or 5 in town. I think we're down to like 2 or 3 of the same ones that we're in charge of. And then otherwise, I've got to go to the next town, which could be anywhere from a half an hour to an hour and a quarter away, country driving. And so I can only imagine having to fight all the traffic and stuff like that. Now, are you able to do a lot of it online through the computer, or what's it kind of like?
Well, for me, I do have access to some of their to the accounts where I can dial into the stores. So not everybody can get in. So you have to go through a background check because you're literally going through their system, their network. So I don't know if you remember a couple of years back where the Targets got hacked. That was through the HVAC lines. So they're very careful who they give access to for the refrigeration.
See, the way we've set ours up is our network guy set my computer up specifically so I can log into our shop computer, and our shop computer is able to directly hook to theirs. So I'm not technically logging straight to the store. I've got to go through our shop computer, and then the shop computer logs into theirs. So I assume that's probably a little more secure because they're not technically on the internet. This new Emerson controller, it's internet based. So I'm kind of getting used to that. It's a little different versus the, I forget what the name of that program is, something View or whatever.
The site supervisor, the new controller?
Yeah, that one there, I'm kind of new to it. We got 2 stores that have got that now, and it's kind of a little confusing, but it's similar to the same. But yeah, that's kind of interesting.
That one looks very window-based. A computer, it just blocks, shows you all the temps, but that barely came out a couple years ago. So that's supposed to replace all the E2 controllers.
But physically, the E2 looks the same, the old one to the current one. It's just maybe a software difference, is it?
Yeah, it's just you can literally rip out the E2, put that one in there. You don't even need to screen for it.
Really?
If you rip the screen, yeah, it's supposed to be a touch screen. So when I asked them, would they put it in? What about all the oily hands touching it? Is it going to break? Because we installed one of the first ones like 4 years ago, December 2017. We installed that one, and I had all these questions for them, and they were still in the beta. so they couldn't even answer a lot of it. By now, I'm sure they figured it all out. All the bugs are out. But yeah, I've asked them, hey, what about the guys with the oily hands? You want us to touch the screen? Is it going to break, malfunction? And of course, them selling the product. No, it'll work great. Don't worry. I'm like, okay then.
Yeah, because ours is at the front of the store for the office to be able to go to it, and it's kind of like a touch screen. I haven't done much with that one. And then otherwise, I just go right to the controller itself, which is at the back, and it's more your traditional, regular. It just looks like the E2 that I've always seen. So, but yeah, that's interesting. So,
hey guys, do you mess with the CPC RMCC, the first version of that?
I had not heard of that before. Is that like the boards or
yeah,
what?
that was before the E1 and the E2. I just wanted to see if there's still some around.
Now you said something about Danfoss. I think we got one or two of those out, but I have not got to play with that yet. I've heard it's a little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah, they kind of make it a little bit more difficult. It's just the guys to get where they want to, like to see the AIs or the DIs or ROs, makes it a little bit more difficult for the guys. I think Emerson prides themselves where they're saying they can get anywhere in the computer within 4 clicks. That's what they wanted.
Wow.
So that's why a lot of people wanted E2s because they're so user-friendly. A lot of guys, it just makes it easier for them. There's a lot of shortcuts, 2 buttons, and you get to wherever you want.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, some of the people was asking why we got him blocked out, because he's confidentially refrigeration guy, and we're keeping his information confidential there because there's certain people out there that just don't want him to share that information. So it's got to be worth something if they don't want him to share it. So make sure you check out his videos while they're still up and the government hasn't taken them down yet. So
yeah, I like his whole thing.
The Illuminati is bad. We're the light, not the darkness.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Illuminati bad. It's really, really bad.
Really bad.
Yeah. So, yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, I had a couple accounts years ago that had E2 controllers, but it wasn't supermarket refrigeration. It was like Dollar General stores. And I guess they just ran all their EMS through it. We could click. So I've got very little experience with the E2. That's when I started watching your videos. I was like, I've seen that before. So that kind of got me rolling and watching more.
Yeah, you can do HVAC and all of it.
Didn't you repurpose one at your house to do something different? One of the controllers?
Yeah, the one that Ryan's talking about, there's different types of controllers. One that does mainly refrigeration, another one that does AC. So the BX, that's mainly building controls, lighting, AC.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of controllers and I replace them. So I have a bunch of parts just laying around. And one time my sprinkler broke. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put this in my house, make it go off, make the sprinklers go off. I put a timer, schedule, same thing. And you know what? I was going to do the AC, but my wife goes, I do not know how to work that thing. You're not going to control the AC off that thing.
That's awesome.
That would be funny.
Put it in parallel with it, give it her user interface there, just a regular stat, and you could do the rest with an override, intercepting it. That'd be kind of fun.
Well, I put a modem to it, so remotely, anywhere in the house, I just get on my laptop and I can just change whatever I want. But she was like, "No, it's too much." I'm like, "All right then."
Oh, if she gets on your nerves, you can just kick that AC up a little bit.
Calibrate it off. It's 70 in here. What are you talking about? It's hot. Feels like it's 78.
I haven't dealt with too many of the E2 controllers. We do a lot of train controls, so we deal with a tracer. Well, the new stuff is SC and TU from train. And some older carrier controls, CCN, Comfort Network, and Lawn Talk, Honeywell, just different controls like that. But I've never messed with the too much supermarket refrigeration stuff like that. It is interesting though. I've enjoyed the videos.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
I liked your video with the. Oh, sorry to interrupt. I liked your video where the clicks on was shorted out. And you opened up the panel, you were tracing the wires. It's just a sea of wires inside of that thing.
Oh, those RDPs, yeah, you open them up and it kind of scares some people because all you see is just wires all over the place. But, I always tell the guys, if you step back, just mainly look at your circuit, just concentrate on that. Like an AC panel, you open it up and you see wires everywhere. But if you're just following what you're looking for, then you'll be fine.
Sure.
We're still using some of the control boards, the digital ins and outs, and still just using E2 as the interface.
Oh yeah, the overlays on that one. Yeah, you
Yeah,
need
that's-
license for those. So pretty much they have when they want to remove the controller and they get an E2 for it. But depending on how many boards you have to pay them or saying, hey, I got 8 boards. I'm going to transfer it to an E2, and you have to pay for that. I don't know, X amount of money. It's always about money. Like, hey, so you pay for a license for each board, and then they'll communicate to an E2. The same way with I did one with a Linux. I think of a video of the Linux one. You have to pay for that license for the Linux unit to be controlled off the E2.
Well, I was wondering because I've wondered if I should not show that if I ever do show the videos. Is it has something about, I don't know if it's the phone number. It says something about license number up there on the E2 controller. I didn't know if that was important to not show or not.
No, it's mainly inside the controller. I think it's
Okay.
menu 7.9, and then it'll show you all the license that you can put in. You can put a lot of things into that E2. That's why I love it. You can do pretty much anything. Even the stores, they watch everything's about energy savings right now. So you can monitor your power. You can put power monitors, and it'll keep track of it so they can, put it for a rebate for the companies. But yeah, it's a lot. I love those things.
It's the same way the Tracer SC controllers, the 600s, just got all kinds of analog inputs, binary inputs, and outputs, and all this stuff. You can basically do anything with them. You just got to program it accordingly and figure out what you want it to do.
Now, I did learn something on one of yours. I always kind of wondered about the inverted trap. You said in your one video on how to get the air out of the system, you're saying that inverted trap on the condenser was to supposedly purge the air out of the system. Is that the main reason for it, or what was that?
Which one was that one? I'm trying to remember.
You were talking about like as far as all the different how easy it is or whatever. I should say that as far as when you get air in the system or how you can isolate things. You were showing pumping the system down, and then if I understood you correctly, you were saying that you could actually bleed the air off of the condenser because you isolated it to it, kind of like how they say recover a system, put it into the jug, let it set for so long, and then you can bleed off the top and you can separate the air out. I thought you were saying that I'm calling it the header, but how the pipe goes above the condenser and it has a port there, a refrigerant port. Was you saying something about that? Was how you could actually purge the air out of the system?
We call that burping the system. Like a baby, you burp it.
Okay. But
Awkward.
was I following you correctly on that? Was that the only reason why that thing's inverted like that, or is it something to do with the oil, or what is that?
No, pretty much when you burp it like that, you shut down the entire system. So almost like air and water, you'll see the bubbles go straight up. Mm-hmm. So it's going to go to the highest point. So when you shut off the entire system, all that air is going to go to the highest point. So that's why they have that fitting on top. You maybe let it sit for 5-10 minutes. And how do you say it? I don't want to say bleed it out, recover the air, with the two fingers in the air, you recover. You burp the system and it'll thank you. Thank you, everything. So you burp it, and then that's when you get all the air out of the system, burping it.
Okay. I didn't know if that was the only reason for it, or was there another reason for it to be inverted like that?
No, pretty much what I use it for in my case.
Okay.
That's the only time I've used that for.
Gotcha. Yeah, I thought, well, hey, that's cool. I was going to maybe run that by somebody later. I know it's probably in that book that I bought that I still haven't read yet, but, it's like, hey, free knowledge. I'll take it. So, heck yeah.
Sir Galahad has a question. What's the most common failure on a refrigeration system that you run into? Or what would be the most common failure that you find on the equipment you're working on?
It depends what we're talking about. We're talking about in the sales floor and the machine room. And it depends on the season, because when it's winter, it's a lot of oil fails on the compressors. Just the oil returning back to the racks.
And cold startups.
Yeah, then for the sales floor, I would say case icing up, motors being, a lot of the stuff is just repetitive work. When I first came up, the guy that was teaching me was saying service is easy, and I looked at him like, man, you're out of your mind. What are you talking about? This stuff is easy. And being out here 17 years, like, it's repetitive stuff. Same thing. Motors go out, cases iced up, defrost heaters go bad, contactors go bad. It's just a lot of the same stuff. Leaks, you have to find it. But on our end, instead of adding one jug, it winds up being like 300, 400 pounds we're adding to the system.
Wow.
Yeah.
So those are big boy leaks.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's the same with basically everything we do, regardless of whether it's supermarket or whatever. It's all repetitive because it's the same stuff. And once you've seen it once, the next time you go, it's like, yep, I know exactly what's going on right here. and you can get right to the problem. You know what's going on. It makes it seem easy to you. But when people are looking from the outside, it's like, how the hell did you do that?
Yeah, that's what. Whenever I'm teaching somebody new, like if they work like in a single system, you're like, yeah, it's the same thing, man. It's just there's 3 or 4 of them tied up together, and instead of one condenser, you're just looking at this huge air cooled condenser, the CVAP with the water just shooting down. So whatever they're into, I try to just work with them. Like, about cars, okay, I'll explain it that way. The TXV is like an injector, it shoots this amount of instead of fuel, it's liquid. So I just try to go to that person and teach them the way that they'll learn better.
Good. That's really nice.
That is.
I wish I could actually ride with somebody like that. I mean, I did when I was like, making next to nothing. And back, like I said, 20 years ago, I rode with somebody for, maybe a month or so, but never,
That's one of the problems with, especially when we get to these hot times like this. You can't hardly pay somebody to drive with, a guy like one of us to just drive around with them and help them, because you need them off doing something else. It makes it hard to teach some of the young guys, because you can't bill a customer for 2 guys that on something that doesn't need 2 guys just for him to learn.
Yeah. But that's also what, that's what they tell me too. Cause like we have a training rate and then we have our regular rate that we get paid. And, I've even offered to go out on the training rate, which still isn't cheap, but it's still, but back then I think I was at $15 an hour, $16 an hour. So, it wasn't too crazy. Thank you for that, Win HVAC, man.
Wink,
Is it Wink?
HVAC.
Yeah.
All right.
Put on your readers.
I need a high definition TV monitor. This monitor is not truly high definition. Sorry. Mm-hmm. She'll be 40 here for long. She's going to get it. And I'm
yeah,
gonna
and you're
laugh.
going to be 50.
In 4 years.
So?
Holy crap. Don't be a hater.
Confidentially, you're closer to my age. I'm a couple years under you. I'm 36. So I've been in the trade like you said, right out of high school, about 18. So it's been about 17 years or so.
Yeah, I started in 2004, and I was actually like in a 6-month ride along because I was so cheap. Back then it was like $11. Yeah, go ahead, train this kid. And it actually took me like 3.5 years to even be comfortable in the supermarket.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because at first they just kind of like, here, do all the washings, do all the de-icings, everything that nobody wanted to do. So they just threw at me, and I was like, yes, sir, whatever you want. I was making $11 at the time, which is the most amount of money I did. I'm like, hell yeah, I'll do it. And yeah, so that's why those guys like me. They was like, all right, keep throwing at this kid whatever you don't want to do. And I just took it with a smile, and little by little, they just started teaching me. And yeah, it took 3 years until I finally just walked into a store, and kind of like the Matrix, you just look at everything. You're like, oh, okay, that's what he was talking about. It all makes sense in one day. And it's funny. It's just all of a sudden one day it just kind of snaps, and you're like, oh, I get it. And then little by little, you make all the connections. So
you didn't have any training prior to?
I didn't go to school for this at all. I didn't even have my EPA when I started.
Wow. So that's a good deal then. 3 years of not having to pay nothing. Think about the money that people waste for school, still come out, don't know crap, and their filter changes for how long. So man, that's a pretty good apprenticeship program.
I think it might have been that time period, because I'm in the same boat. Like I didn't go to school for it. I didn't do anything like that, but the industry was booming at that point when I graduated, and it was just like, you want a job? Come on, we'll hire you. And I was lugging sheet metal duct upstairs in some commercial building for just doing what I was told.
It's kind of like right now.
I was at my buddy's house just eating all his food. He's like, man, do you want a job? Because he was doing refrigeration. He's like, oh, you here? You know my food, man. I'm going to get you a job. I'm sure you can change some filters and wash some stuff. I'm like, sure, whatever. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. Refrigeration? Sure, I got one in my house. I'll try it out.
Yeah.
I guess if you're hardworking and willing to do what people want from you, that's the key,
Oh, a little effort goes a long way, man.
Absolutely.
Take you all kinds of places.
That's what I was trying to do. I was doing an AC install for my niece this weekend, and I said, if I'm going to do this for you, and your husband's helping me do it, and I got talking to him about where he's working at now and stuff. And I was like, dude, you want to get into this field? I say, here's what I do. I mean, if you'll be kind of an installer similar to this starting out. And I was trying to recruit him at the same time. It's like, this is good stuff, man.
Dude, you got burned in chat.
I seen that from, what's his name there?
Yeah. Weaver said Rick's going to be 50. Wow.
That's because you were rattling your jaws there, and they weren't paying attention.
But did you see what Laska said?
And something about trees getting that old or something.
But he said that you even shook hands with Willis Carrier. That's how old you are.
Oh, whatever.
That's funny.
I shook hands with Dave Lennox, but yeah.
Have you seen Ted's new video where the homeowner, he was training the homeowner? It was pretty hilarious. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
I mean, to a certain extent, we need to help. I mean, training the customer or training the homeowner sounds a little bad, but we need to help them learn to, okay, if it's not working, don't just turn the temperature down and then call us, and then we show up 24 hours later and it's froze up bigger and shit. You can't do anything with it until you thaw it out. If they know little things like that, okay, if it's not working, just check, is it running, is the outdoor unit running, is the indoor unit running, is it froze up, turn the blower on, turn the AC off, little things. If we can teach them that, it makes our jobs easier.
I do. Whenever you get something you don't know what's going on and you want to tell them what to look for. Like, I had a friend, he's like, hey, it's not working right. And it's like, well, it's not working right. Everything checks out. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You own a thermometer, put it in the supply, put it in this duct over here, subtract the two. You should be at least this to that, And this big fat line, it should be cold, if it's not anything. And then, and I just went through the basics. It's like, you don't need to understand everything, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. You can get most of the problems. Mm-hmm. I mean, the basics stay the same. It's just, we have to help. It gets even better when you're dealing with maintenance guys and people who have a little bit of knowledge there and they can guide you. I just did a video where I was, saying, listen to your customers, even if they don't know what they're talking about. They can lead you to the problem.
They know their equipment better than anybody.
Yeah, exactly. And even if it's a homeowner and they don't know anything,
it's up to you to distinguish how to ask it.
There's keywords you can hear and that you catch, and you're like, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. They don't know what they just said, but it leads you directly to what's going on.
Yeah, it comes down to you to be able to ask the right questions and lead them along, and you'll find out what you want to know if you know how to ask the right questions. Absolutely. Exactly. So did the COVID thing affect your business at all? Refrigeration Confidential?
Oh man, it was booming. Okay, everybody was in the stores. Everybody's shopping, so everybody wanted to keep everything at temp. So everybody saw the stores. They were just cleaning them out. So it didn't change at all for us in the supermarket world.
Might have made your job easier because the cases were cleaner, right? There was less stuff in them.
It was already pulled. I'm like, oh sweet, let me just take off this panel.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this:
go ahead, Ryan.
Do you get any of your shopping done while you're there? I mean, kill two birds with one stone.
The last call, and you have to be careful what you buy. Like, you don't want to be walking out in uniform with beer. You're like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, no.
I know our safety director said no.
Who was it? Was it you that did the? Somebody did a video on. We're gonna make sure the beer. It's Friday at 5:30 or something. We're gonna make sure the beer is good and cold in this store because I'm getting ready to head home.
You always know a supermarket guy lives close by when the beer's 33 degrees.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah. And the funny part, Ryan, about your question is, the wife would be like, "Hey, while you're out there, because all day you're in supermarkets, can you buy this?" And the whole day, my mind says just on work, and I forget to get the thing she asked me at the store. So I get home, did you get it? I'm like, oh my god. She goes, you're in 4 different stores every day. How can you not get it? I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's funny. That's good. Yeah, my wife would be doing the same thing. She does that to me now, and I don't even work in supermarkets.
I'll be in some restaurants, and it's like, hey, why don't you pick up some food from there when you leave? And like, okay.
I mean, when I first started out, I had to do some, I think, one restaurant work, but I've seen, like, I guess we used to have a KFC back in the day. And this guy's like, oh my God, I love Snackers. You know, Snackers are the best thing. Once he goes back in there and works on the cooler, he's like, oh my goodness. That you never want to see the back where you eat at. You know, you're like, no, thank you.
No,
Been in too many of those.
I was just telling my one of my customers that we do a restaurant. I said, yeah, my wife loves this place. I said, I don't eat here, you know, for obvious, you know, not because it's bad or anything, but you get into those coolers and I don't know.
It's like that
You see
everywhere.
you see a cooler's been down for a day and a half and they're still doing, you know, cooking whatever. I'm like, okay.
Well, I swear they only clean them when somebody's there to, you know, because I work on a lot of reach-ins on the line. And, you know, half the time I got to go in there work out them when they're working. So you pull them out. They're like, leave that out. We're going to squeak behind it now. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have
Fry
at
me
it.
up a little bit of that.
They,
kinda like the
they
ice
never
cream
clean
machines.
behind them, but they do get in there with the hose and spray. With around here at least, it's like they trip the GFIs behind them, and then they'll call you and like, well, this whole cook line's not working. It's like, well, you got no power. Did you look at the, you know, did you reset the GFIs after you sprayed it with water?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I debated
The
it.
nights in the house.
Yeah, I don't miss those restaurant days. There's one restaurant where I didn't go to too many, but I went. The exhaust fan was out in the kitchen, so I went to the roof. You know, like, oh, where is it? It was kind of by the pier in San Diego. So I went there, and the restaurant was just packed. And okay, exhaust fan, motor's bad, no power. Let me go downstairs. The entire restaurant was clear. And I was kind of scared. I'm like, what? Were they trying to rob it? What's going on? And I go down there and I see a customer just filled with like black stuff on their face and everything. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? I guess they cleared the whole restaurant. The fire sprinklers went off in the kitchen area.
Oh, no.
And they stared out. I was like, what did you do? I'm like, what do you mean what I do? He's like, you did something because you went to the roof and the sprinklers went completely off. I'm like, lady, I'm just checking the exhaust fan. I don't know what is going on. And the fire department came and like, whatever this guy did not do anything with the sprinklers. So they defended me, but I was just so tripped out when I went to the roof, came down, the entire restaurant was just cleared. I'm like, and it was a 2-level restaurant. I'm like, oh my God. That's why I had not that much good experience with those places. Oh my God. Thank God it's just strictly markets now.
And they always blame it on the HVAC guy.
It's
Any alarm goes off. I mean, you got to wonder
Everything's our
yourself
fault.
too. You're like, did I do anything? I saw.
I was trying to think if the pressure of the kitchen went too high because the exhaust. I was trying to put it together, but I don't even know how those pipes work, lady. I didn't touch any of that. They weren't trying to get my report and everything. I'm like, oh, I went up to the roof. You had no power. Came down. The restaurant cleared out. That's all I know.
I saw a semi truck driver. It was real hot, and I think the power lines were dipping. And this semi truck come right back through the back of the plaza and ripped the lines right out. Of course, right as I was finishing, and it only ripped out. It didn't rip out all three. You know, it was like one leg power to the building. So everything was flashing and they were like, what did you do? I said, it wasn't me this time. I watched it. I watched it happen. But I had to go back up there. I shut all the disconnects off real quick because, you know, they were going to single phase.
Yeah.
I said, call us back when they fix these wires. But that was about the craziest thing I saw. The truck driver didn't even know he had a wire dragging behind him. I said, oh, you just ripped the freaking wires out of the building.
One of the viewers wanted to know if I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say that's when you make the drop of Tommy Boy when he backs up the car. Goes, what'd you do?
So what did you do?
He's always thinking meme. Yeah. Go ahead, Rick.
No, one of the Weaver Maintenance was asking our guest there if his company's ever been involved in a loss of product litigation of some sort. I know what ours would be, but what about what's you guys' process on stuff like that?
Not so much product, more the slip and falls on customers.
Oh,
You know, if you're working in an area, de-icing a case, if you don't protect your hose and put wet floor signs.
mm-hmm.
So I've been involved in one of those where they put you with lawyers, write down everything. Did you do this? Did you do that? And they check the cameras and everything. So I've been involved in those. Not so much product loss.
Yeah, that probably actually costs more money.
Oh no, yeah, people. I think the most I've heard of a person getting was like $1 million at a store.
Wow. So yeah, you can lose a lot of ice cream and meat for that.
No, yeah, they got hurt real bad, so that's why they got that much money.
Yeah,
And you
we've done some work in some that is more on the product side in some of the pharmaceuticals. They have pallets that are worth millions of dollars of this stuff. So it's like it can't get over this temperature. It can't get under this temperature. You have to be there. You have to be on the ball, and you're there right then. And it's got to be fixed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, we have some places like that with the plasma for the blood or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's like minus 30 degrees, and the alarm is minus 25. And when you put the gauges on it, they're running in a vacuum, like 4.4. I'm like, oh man.
Wow. Yeah, we've got a few of them. They're cascade type system of some sort.
It's got to be a lot of pressure on a service tech, right there.
It's tough when you got and the guys are there breathing down your neck like this has got to be. It's like, yeah. All right, back up. Let me do my job. Like I'm here. I want this to work just as much as you do. Like back up. Give me a second.
That's always the best because there's been times in the machine room, the manager right next to us, like looking at the exact same thing. I'm like, you have no idea what I'm looking at, man.
Yeah.
I can be like pointing to this thing, like, well, the flux capacitor right here, sir. It's broken. Don't you worry. I'll get it back up and running.
And Good luck finding one of those.
Sometimes you can.
What are you doing?
If you can't impress them with knowledge,
Apparently.
you dazzle them with bullshit.
Oh yeah.
So you do any CO2, or you just still in the regular refrigerants yet?
We've only had one store CO2, and I haven't dealt too much with it. It's been just mainly the regular supermarket racks.
So was that a whole new store, or was it a convert?
Excuse me?
Converted, or was it a whole brand new? Because I mean, you basically have to put everything in new when you do CO2, right? All new evaporators, condensers, whole nine.
Well, no, we've only had one store that's already been running like that. That was CO2, and I've only dealt with a little bit of it. I know there's a guy, I think his name is Rusty Walker. It's really good with it, and he comes out to California, trains a lot of the companies out here.
Sweet. So what's most of your flavors that you're switching to?
There's not that much 22 left. Everything's, well, on our end, it went to 407A, and then lately it's been all 448.
Yep. The 448 seems to be what most of them are going to. I know on the ice cream machines, that's what they're going to. And the A, for some reason, our one guy kind of liked F at first, and then obviously we use C, which has been around forever, but I have a feeling we may eventually go to that A thing. I don't know.
Is the
only time we
448
use...
Is that the
404 replacement?
The replacement for 22 that I've seen is 438, and I've heard a lot about this 448, but I have not seen it yet. I know there was a product out there that I don't know the number on it, but they called it New 22, and that was supposedly a good drop-in replacement, but it didn't work well from what I've heard, at least. I don't know because I haven't used it, but it didn't work well in commercial applications.
448 is a 404 replacement, isn't it?
Well, for us, we use a 4.4. Yeah, we've been using that too for 4.4, and I think
that's more low temp.
In HP80 store too, we just did 4.48, which is 402.
And that's more low temp then for your freezers and coolers and such.
Yeah, they do it all. The entire store gets converted. All they do is replace the valves, because they eat up the gaskets. They change the oil, and pretty much every valve in the store, every TXV gets changed out when they do that. So it takes a good amount of time to do that, to convert to another gas.
Well, there you go. We got a smart guy in the chat. Zach said the 438 is MO99, and that's what I was talking about for AC. And then the new 22 is 422B, which I haven't used because I went to buy some one time and they told me this was actually I believe it was Train that I went into, and I was going to try something other than the MO99, and they said if it's commercial, the new 22, the 422B is, and they've heard horror stories about it.
Yeah, Train won't let you do crap as far as conversions than anything I've ever seen. Nothing.
Yeah.
We use 422B.
422B, 422C. I mean, it's all about the same. I mean, it all depends on what you like. Like the MO99, I don't care for it, but I had to do it literally on Friday. And that shit's going, well, we're selling it for 40 we're cheap in our area. So we're like 40 some dollars a pound, almost 45. And it's like the Hot Shot 2 is only going for like 20 something for us. I mean, we sell stuff moderately, priced, but the MO99, I've always heard kind of, I hated the, actually, no, was it MO9? Yeah. Shoot.
I've heard horror stories about it. We've used it. I'm curious if it doesn't have oil return problems, because we've used it on our larger commercial semi-hermetic compressors, and we've got 120 pounds of refrigerant in the thing. Then that's when we convert it over. And it's like the first problem is the sight glass that I've seen is the sight glasses go milky. Mm-hmm. Like it looks like milk in the sight glass. You can tell that it's maybe if it's bubbling, and maybe if it's clear, but it's a whitish milky color. I'm not sure what that is, unless it's just that mixed in with the oil or what. But and then other than that, I've had possibly some oil return issues, but that could be just the systems too, because they're 30 plus years old and trying to still keep things going
along. And I was mistaken. MP39 was what I had to go get. That was the 502 drop in or whatever. So MO99, I hated that for R22 replacement. I didn't like it at all. Any of this crap, none of it works out the same. To get the superheat you want, you got to overcharge it. Your subcooling's sky high. It's everything. Charge it to 80%. Hell, I end up charging it 10 to 20% over to get to what they want. Yeah, so there's so many freaking misconceptions and lies and everything else. It's like whatever.
I heard the 80% as well at first, and I was like, "This ain't right."
No.
Well, that's what the MO99 shows, is it's 80 or 90 or whatever it is, but you get to that point and it's like, it's not right.
We're still low.
My saturation temperature is still freezing. My head pressure is low, so like you're trying to equalize everything out, and it's like
you got to wonder, did they mean 80% over?
Yeah.
And then you got some that they're doing a little added
level.
Little extra POE to the oil, which I've done that on one that I knew they was going to replace. I didn't care, but I've and it actually worked. 10% whatever, and squirt it in on top, and they won't mix, but it does bring it back, which is what they're doing with the butane or propane or whatever they mix in there to bring it back. But
Some methane.
Yeah.
From your butt.
So most of the stores then, you said 407A was mainly what you guys are switching over to for most of them then?
Well, in the first stage now, it's been mainly 448 that everyone's been putting in.
Okay. So you don't have any old ones that are still like running some 502 or 12 or anything like that?
There's some stores that are singles, which is it's not tied into racks. It's just one compressor that does the whole lineup, the whole system. There's some that still have 22, and once they go flat, then they say, "Hey, do you want to convert it?" It's already empty. They're like, "Yeah," and that's when we do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we just switched our last one over. That was I think we were running what was we running? It might have been 22. I forget. We finally got it switched over. So, but yeah. What else do we got here? What else was there? I'm trying to think of some other things that we would want to know on the refrigeration, the big boy stuff. What are you doing? You look like you got a poop or something.
No, my back hurts.
Okay, you look like you had a poop.
No, my pocket hurts.
Oh, your pocket hurts?
Yeah, it's pinching or something.
Okay, a pocket. I got it. So, sheesh. Sorry about that. So,
No, but man,
go ahead.
For racks, I mean, I get a lot of questions like from guys like, "Hey, going into racks, is it hard?" I'm like, No, if you guys know like the singles, I mean the pressures, everything for us is just pressure. You have to know what product runs at what certain pressure. That's why when I usually just talk to guys, I say, what is it, -15, the +10, the +20. And when I talk to them, when I'm talking those pressures, I mean the SST, the saturated suction temps. So, for you guys, let's just say for AC, you got to do it 32 degrees over converted. So one ice up, right? Same thing for me when I want to know, let's just say meat. Meat runs at 26 degrees. So I know I need at least around not minus, 15 SST. So that's we have to get that pressure. We convert it over. Like, what's your pressures? All right, cool. Now go check your airflow. Make sure you're not low on gas. The tricky part with supermarkets, the receivers are so big, a lot of the cyclasts flash.
Yeah, that's one of my questions, because we let ours flash, and yet I've been told do not keep on filling up. We like to run ours low. How far do you guys run your receivers and stuff?
Yeah, we run them real lean, because the problem is, let's just say you find a leak, right? And you had 200 pounds, you clear the cyclast. It's probably going to cost you another 200 pounds until you find out that you're low on gas or you're leaking again. So they don't want to waste those 200 pounds. They'd rather just keep it real lean, and they just add 2 jugs over, the proper everything at temp. So for us, it's supposed to be 10%. Depends on the accounts. Some accounts want like a 35% receiver level, and there's alarms if it reaches that, just pretty much a DI point where the flow goes lower. It sends an alarm, receiver level alarm. Targets and Walmarts do that a lot. They want receiver levels. They want to keep them. But those receivers, I don't know if you guys seen them, they're not that big like the other supermarkets. These ones are so huge that the charge is 1,400 pounds, Wow. So at 10%, if you have a leak, we kind of just 10% cyclast still flashing. Should I add gas? No, because if you add 2 jugs, I'll find out in 48 pounds if we're low again, instead of adding 150 pounds, and I'm just going to dump 150 instead of the 48 or 50 pounds until we find out we're low again in gas.
Makes sense. Because I hated that at first, and I'm like, well, and then they kind of explained it, and I'm like, oh, you guys are smarter than what I am. Makes sense. I like that. So, yeah, it's good to hear that other people are doing the same thing. But, we always talk about it has to be a solid column, though, all the way out there. So, I mean, under theory, are we assuming that it eventually turns to a solid column by the time it reaches the TXV, several hundred feet away? Or what's the thought process behind that?
Yeah, whenever I hear those valves screaming, I'm like, yeah, I'm low on gas. Even those flashy cyclasts don't do much for our subcooling, because we want our subcooling to work. Sometimes guys think that we're low on gas. It's like, no, your subcooler's just down. You're not running 55 degrees leaving the subcooler. So it's kind of tricky there. They're trying to keep it low and not loose because everything's so carb with the gas, EPA, and they're really trying to not lose too much gas and get in trouble, I guess.
Yeah, you guys are probably being watched pretty tight on things.
Yeah, I'm guessing you all have some kind of when we deal with anything over 50 pounds, you have to calculate the leak rate and decide if it's more than acceptable. Do you have to find the leak? Is it okay to leave it for right now or whatever? I'm sure you guys got to actually, it's probably worse because you're in California, so I'm sure it's worse.
No, we always have to find the leak. And the problem is you're walking into a huge supermarket where, good thing you have a rack, there's probably 4 racks in the store. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So a lot of the times we have to shut off the air handler, shut off the entire machine room, because you have all the body cooling fans just blowing air at the tower. So when you're going in there with your leak detector, it's kind of going crazy. That's why I completely shut everything down. So most of the time, the leak's so big you can hear it. I'm like, all right, I don't need my leak detector for this one.
How do you usually do your leak search? I mean, you just go to the rack first? Do you just walk around the store? Do you guys do any just on your preventive maintenance, just kind of scan case to case? I mean, is there anything particular you do that kind of helps you find them a little quicker? Anything like that?
Well, for me, before I walk into the store in the parking lot, I already turn it on because, I'm trying to get that nice clean air. And so I turn it on. So for me, the TIF, I love the TIF. They don't make them anymore, but until I get those beeps, single beep for the big leagues, double beeps for the smaller ones. So I walk into the store. If I walk into the store and it automatically goes off, I know I'm in trouble. I'm like, oh man, I gotta literally search everything in this rack. So I'm scared. I'm like, all right, and then I see what rack. Let's just say the commercial temp. So I go everything that commercial. I go through the honeycombs. look for it, and then once I either find it, if I don't, that's when I hit the machine room. And when I go to the machine room, I haven't turned off my leak detector because I still got that calibrated to the fresh air in the outside of the store. That's when I shut down the entire machine room, the tower, and within a good leak check should be at least 45 minutes. If you're not there for a leak, 15 minutes will do. You just walk around the store, but it usually takes me 45 minutes to find that leak.
So you're using the TIF?
Yeah, whatever spare parts I can find for it. They don't make them anymore.
Which one is that
sensors,
one?
batteries.
I've got one TIF. I don't even know where I put it at, though. It's
Which
around here
one's
somewhere.
that one, though?
Mine's a ZX. It does really good. Is yours the one with the Pinto diode in it? It's like blue.
Yeah,
A Pinto.
Yeah. It's ZX, so purple bluish.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
I got it. It does great on certain ones.
The new ones, those tax like $800 for one. I'm like, oh man, it's pretty pricey compared to what the TIF was.
Yeah, I got both. Yeah.
Even with that one, I walk into the store and I'm like, I thought at first I thought it didn't work because I wasn't picking up anything. I have to like push in a straight. I'm like, is this thing working? And it picks it up. I'm like, okay, I know this store is not good. I know there's a leak somewhere. So I was kind of having trouble with that one at first.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I had on the one. I mean, it will automatically reset the background unless you lock it into one of its modes in advance. Otherwise, it will automatically reset. And if you come in slowly, but I recorded a video on Friday where I missed the leak last week or whatever, went and grabbed the H10 because I knew I'd seen oil. It was on the residential 410A unit. And I went then back out, grabbed both detectors, both detects, and they both got it actually almost as good, if not better, than what the H10 does. So I'll be making sure I show that for those haters out there. But it just was a matter, I moved too quickly. I was moving along. I found one leak and kind of like just did a quick shot for the rest of them. And then whoops. But that wasn't why I was back anyway. There was other issues. But yeah, that's interesting to hear.
The first time I saw an H10, the guy that was training me, he had it like in a fanny pack. He opens it up. I'm like, what the heck is that, man? He's like, it's an H10. I'm like, I've never heard of or seen it because I've always just used TIFs. This was like, 15 years ago. But I'm like, and I was just laughing because he literally pulled it out of his fanny pack. You know the size of that thing. I'm like, oh my god, man! And he worked. He picked up the leak in the middle of the coil. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it's good. It works.
Was it the plug-in one or the battery?
It had a battery on it.
Okay, that's the one I got. Yeah, that's great.
Is he wearing New Balance tennis shoes?
Should we get you a fanny pack for yours and bedazzle it?
I don't need a fanny pack. It's got a place for a strap for hanging around your
Ooh,
neck.
you could do strap on.
Yeah, there you go. You'd like that.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That escalated quickly.
I saw a meme the other day. It said, "How do you know the job's getting done right?" And it showed like three people in just their ankles and shoes, and it was all New Balance tennis shoes.
Nice.
Dads are here doing it. It's getting done right.
There ain't nothing wrong with New Balance. They were better than my Nikes. But yeah, that's nuts. If somebody said that about my torch thing, I showed my little bag I mount on the front, and they're like, "You got a fanny pack for your torch?" I'm like, "Oh God, dude, I didn't even think about that."
That's so funny.
Gotta love it. So do you have any hacks or anything for some of your tools to make your carrying your tools around and things like that easier, or any things that like along those lines?
No, like I was telling you guys earlier, I see everybody when I was talking about Ryan's video with the 43-pound Vito bag. I'm like, oh my God, this is way too heavy for me. So I usually just carry I guess it's an electrician's bag because I don't carry my gauges. I mean, I just carry my shorties because if I'm really going to bring the entire set, it's only when I'm adding or when I'm putting in the vacuum. That's the only time you really need the entire set.
Yeah, because you can do it on the thing, on the controller.
Yeah. So a lot of the times, all I really need is, I know people always just talk smack, but when they only carry 3 tools inside, but my voltmeter, my 6-in-1, and my crescent, and a flashlight. Because the rest of pressures, I can see it in the controller. I got transducers, I got sensors, I can feel it with my hands, and I can do the job like that. And then once I know, okay, I'm in trouble, then that's when I'll get my bag.
If you know what you're doing, you can fix anything with that stuff right there, or at least know what's going on with it. You know what
Exactly.
then you can go get what you need.
Yeah, because after so many years of imagine carrying a 40-pound bag, like, the guys are always telling me coming up, they're like, oh, wear your knee pads, do this. And I'm like, oh, get out of here. I'm not going to wear knee pads. Here I am 17 years later.
I only use that bag for, when I am doing blower repairs and compressor replacements and heat exchangers and stuff.
Well,
I don't carry that thing with me on every service.
You had that in your video. Yes, and no, that's true. No,
I've been carrying my TP4B again. I know I've been even carrying less tools than I used to carry in that stupid thing. Now it's just like 3 or 4 things. Yeah, I'm old. I'm smarter is what it is. Yeah,
I got to get the ladder crane out just to get it on the roof sometimes,
Exactly. I literally have been leaving that stupid thing in the truck, and it's like, how much money did I spend on this thing? Oh my God. So yeah.
Well, luckily for me, when I'm doing those kind of jobs, I've got a helper with me, and I'm like, you want to pull this stuff up on the roof, Mike? He's usually like, yeah, no problem, Mike.
He's got that farm strength.
He's got that farm strength. I lower everything down.
There you go.
I watched Ryan's video when he was working in the rain with the ladder in the side, and I'm like, oh my goodness, man, that's just scary stuff. I couldn't do that, especially I've done it for some fuel stations, because some supermarkets, you can add your gas right there, and even there, that's like just barely 15 feet. But just looking at your video, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. I have no idea how he does it, especially in that kind of weather.
I've gotten over my fear of heights for sure. I never had, I at first I was like, oh, I got to do what? But I just have gotten over the ladder fear for sure.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yep. I ain't going home and losing money. So it's like, what else can you do? There ain't much else.
I liked your Cat 5 video. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, thank you so much. I actually watched, like, within the last 2 weeks, I saw guys like online on Instagram. I don't know what a store they were at, but they replaced the whole Cat 5. They're saying like, oh, it doesn't work. And I'm like, you really don't, the wire doesn't go bad. Look at the connection. It's clear. And I might just flip it over. Cause when you have that little, at the ends, a little copper, whatever it is, when you're crimping them, you put them together, sometimes that wire inside breaks. So that's where you lose your communication. But I've seen the guys just replace the whole wire. I'm like, you don't have to do that. Just check the connections.
How much? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, just saying, I'm like, you don't have to do the whole thing. Just look at it and see if you knew how it works. A lot of it's just a diagram. Like, you can just cut it and make your own. I don't think people just, because I mess with a lot of the EMS side of it for the computers. Yeah. So I know what to look for. They usually send me when there's no communication. Hey, we can't get to the store, or hey, this controller's not talking to this one, and everything's Cat 5 nowadays. So a lot of the guys, if you're going to deal with it, hey guys, this is what you need to look for. Just pull the plug, make sure none of the wires inside is broken off, cut it, make your own. Yeah, all that stuff in the video, I picked it up in Home Depot, from the tools to the box, everything.
My question is the crimper for that. What kind of price are we looking at on one of those?
Oh man, it's like $30. It's like not even. Yeah,
I'm gonna hardwire all my computers now.
Actually, that's what I did.
Buy a box of Cat 5 and crimp some connectors.
That's what I did.
Plug the sucker in.
Well, we won't have Ryan next week.
Welcome to the 2000s again.
Actually, when I finished doing that video, I reran some of my internet because my TV was just everything's Wi-Fi. I'm like, you know what? I already got the stuff. I'm just gonna hardwire it. So I reran my whole modem to go to the TV and everything. That's why I send the video. You can use this at home, just whatever you guys need to. Because those wires are expensive. Best Buy, you see like a 20-foot roll. I'm like, $20 for this? I can get the whole pack.
Yeah, I had to replace a Cat 5 for a EMS issue. I was working with the EMS guy, and I'm on the phone with him. I'm testing this, testing that. He goes, we need a new Cat 5. So I had to run I think I ended up going to Walmart. Straight down the street, I bought a new one. It took care of the issue, but yeah, I didn't have anything to, make a wire myself. But I found that video pretty interesting.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Especially that little tester that I had. I bought that years ago because I knew where the direction they were going. Because back in the day, it was you had to call in. I had that old phone where I plug it into the wall, and I called myself to test the store's phone line. So I used to be phone line. They used to dial into it, but now everything's going Cat 5. And I saw it. I'm like, well, I need to get a tester. If this is where they're going, I need this. And sure enough, it's come in clutch for me a lot of times.
So you was carrying a butt set with you? Telephone butt set? Telephone butt set. You were actually.
Yeah, I pulled it. I got it at Radio Shack. If you guys remember those.
Oh yeah.
Not anymore, but
What?
Rick's a
A
loser. He
Radio
has
Shack.
these things.
A telephone butt set is what the repairman used to dial in. It has a pair of alligator clips on the end of it with a bed of nails, and it also has, the plug and stuff. I bought
I was
one.
asking what about Radio Shack?
Oh yeah, well, youngins, we used to have a place called Radio Shack.
We're gonna get to the point where people don't know what that is.
I used to love Radio Shack.
Oh, yeah.
Me and my dad would go
I
in
almost
there.
remember Montgomery Ward. They were going out of business when I was a kid.
We had Stanbaugh Thompson's. You guys ever hear of that hardware store? It might have just been regional for us.
Probably.
Home Depot or no, Lowe's came in and Stanbaugh's went bye.
Yeah, Lowe's and Menards came in and ran Home Depot out.
Oh, yeah.
So we lost our Home Depot here, which is kind of interesting.
I'm a Home Depot guy myself.
I never knew how much crap they had that I liked until they left. Now I have to drive like 45 minutes to an hour to get to one.
Yeah, we don't have one around here.
We had 3 home improvement stores in the same freaking little town of 30,000, 40,000 people.
All within a mile circle radius
Yeah.
of one another.
They're like Burger King and McDonald's, up each other's butt.
Yeah, Menards and Lowe's are literally across the street from one another.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah, trying to run each other out. So, but Menards ain't as big as what Lowe's is.
We still have some Ace hardware stores around.
Oh, we
here.
got a
We have
bunch of
that
A's.
Yep.
We got some here too.
Yeah.
They're an independent, or they got a lot of like franchisees that buy in. That's how
Yes,
that works.
that's what these are too. They're like independently owned.
Well, I just moved. I moved out of the city, and the Ace Hardware is probably closer than a Lowe's or a Home Depot to me.
We got Dollar General.
We got the DG too, man. I got the DG's closer than anything. But I go to Ace for a lot of my little stuff.
Sure,
They're
and you're
high, but they
helping
always
out
got the
a
weird stuff.
independently owned business.
Oh no
Yeah.
doubt, yeah, a small town.
Sure.
business.
All right, who's got the next question?
Yeah, you guys are being quiet out there, sucking the blood out of us, letting us do all the talking here. Y'all can ask.
I
them.
got one. Do you pack lunch or do you eat out?
Depends. I go in waves and seasons. You gain a couple pounds. Summer comes, you lose it. Summertime, you just go nothing but drive-throughs. That's the entire
Yeah.
life. You're done with the job, drive-through, and when it's slower, that's when you pack the lunch. You're like, okay, I gained some pounds. Let me get on the treadmill. Let me lose some weight. So it pretty much depends on the season.
I think me and Rick had that conversation earlier.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
the
I've been
the
eating.
slow times when I don't pack lunch. That's when I got time to actually stop and eat something good.
I ate like 3 pieces of cherry pie from this person that made the pie. Is absolutely, oh man, she makes your grandma look bad. I mean, this girl can cook a pie like you wouldn't believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hit 3 on today, and I had 2 yesterday.
Well, you can't let the pie get
I
bad.
had the ribs. Well, my birthday meal for my mother-in-law was ribs, which is always one of my things I like. And so I had leftovers for today. So
And
I
I
had
took you
those.
out to Roosters.
We had chicken wings and stuff on Friday night. And then my niece, when I was doing her air conditioner, she went and got picked up wings and stuff. So I've been winged and ribbed and pied all friggin' weekend. So I was like 4 or 5 pounds higher this morning, and God knows what it is tomorrow. So I'll be spending hundreds of dollars to get rid of that. So yeah, it's all good.
I got this new van. It's super tall and I can't go through drive-throughs anymore. So I've been having to pack lunches lately.
Are you
That
over 9 feet?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the
So I got
downside
3
of that.
ladder. I got a 12, a 10, and a 6 strapped to the top of this thing, and it's already tall. I haven't measured it, but pretty sure I can't get through there.
I know that a lot of the normal drive-throughs for us are 8.6, and my dolly sits on the back of my extension ladder, so
Yeah.
the wheels will hit that, but I can get through. But anything, if it's 9 feet, I can make it.
Yeah, I ripped up a Burger King drive-through once. I got my food, hit
Got
the
busy
gas,
in
and I kind of.
Are you saying you got busy in a Burger King bathroom?
And it looked like it had been ripped off about 12 times before me, so I just said,
And just keep on going.
I
You had
went.
your food. Get out of there.
You can tell they're young. They didn't get it.
No.
Nope,
No,
they didn't
that's
get
a
it.
Digital Underground, right? Company band.
Everybody in chat's gonna be like, "Who are they?" They're gonna be looking them up afterwards.
No, man, I was just probably about 10, 11, or 12 when I remember going up to my neighbor's house up the street, and he had Digital Underground, the CD. It was called
How old were you, Rick?
Sex Packets.
Packets.
Man, he's pretty
Yeah,
good.
we were like,
I was a freshman in
condoms.
high school when
We
it
got
came out.
condoms.
I was just starting to consider getting into DJ. So I've been probably 15, I think, something like that.
Yeah, I was about 11 or 12.
Yeah, my cousins from Dayton area, they knew about it, and they're like, "You got that song yet?" I'm like, "No," because it's all you wanting to start it. But yeah, they're like, "You need to go check that out." All right, go.
And that was the bad stuff back then,
Oh,
now
yeah.
you look at the music that's out these days.
It's all bad. It's
I'm
all
like,
bad.
oh my God.
You guys are probably a few years older than me. I think the first CD I ever bought, I had this conversation with somebody the other day, and Confidential's in the same age group, but I think the first CD I bought was
That's correct.
Coolio, Gangsta's Paradise.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That was the first CD I had.
That's good romantic music right there. That's from the New Jack City.
Yeah, that song was everywhere that year.
Yeah.
Be back in 1 second.
I like Shannon's suggestion of the Humpty Dance. I've been listening to that one quite a bit on Spotify lately. Gets me all excited.
She's trying to get in touch with my old roots of some sort. I'm like listening to all this dance music that I listened to when I was first starting out, and I'm like, "What are you trying to do?" Because usually she listens to 70s and stuff, and I hate the 70s.
Well, I didn't listen to that. I listened to heavy metal in high school, so I didn't listen to any of that stuff
I
back
didn't
in
like
the day.
that trash either. So it's all good.
So
You can lighten it up with some 70s. I wouldn't call it heavy metal, but the Eagles.
That's classic
I like
rock.
the Eagles, man.
That's
That's classic.
classic rock. That doesn't do it for me. That's too easy listening.
She used to be goth, and she had the the freaking choker chain and all that crap.
I like the heavy metal too, but we around here, you guys might have to come down sometime because Louder Than Life is the biggest hard rock festival in the country, and it's right here in Louisville, Kentucky. And there's headlining 9 Inch Nails, Metallica.
Oh, Nine Inch Nails is way too hard for Rick. He would have a.
I played that song. I played it at a wedding. I remember getting yelled at for it. I
poop your
can't believe he
pants.
played that at a wedding.
Yeah.
I'd be
Did
like,
you know
yeah.
Trent Reznor's dad owned Rezner Heater Company
I did not know that.
in
That
Mercer,
is amazing.
Pennsylvania, which is about, I don't know, 10 miles from me. They used to make them
Nice.
in Mercer, Pennsylvania. Now they're made it. But yeah, Trent Reznor's dad owned the place.
Who's Trent
In fact, my
Reznor?
old company, they went and did some work. I didn't go personally, but they
Artist?
were telling me about it. They went and did replaced the system for the guy that owned a Rezner company, and they had all the memorabilia down there, guitars, posters, all that stuff.
Nice. No, they do this festival every year. Well, they didn't do it last year, obviously, but I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people. I went a couple years ago, and I mean, there was so many people, and when we saw Ozzy Osbourne and just all these headlining acts that you're probably, honestly, if you want to see these guys, you better go see them now. Because Metallica is not going to be around forever.
Yep.
And, 9 Inch Nails ain't going to be around forever. And these are the guys that laid the platform for everybody who's doing what they're doing now.
Sure.
So you better go see them if you want to see them.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of
My
callbacks,
first concert was. Oh, go ahead, Rick.
well, I was just thinking, Refrigeration Confidential. How do you guys deal with callbacks? You guys get held responsible or anything for that, or it's just something you got to go back in the walk of shame, or what is it?
No, I remember some old timer calling it final adjustment. It's not a callback, it's a final
I
adjustment.
like that.
That ain't an old timer. That's a
Yeah,
smart guy. I like that.
Smart. I'm going to have to use that.
But no, I mean, it depends. I mean, what kind of person you want to be. A lot of the times you'll see we have a logbook that we write every service call we write what we did. And sometimes we just keep it off the book or just make it something like in the report because we have to write it up like loose wire net, something like that, just to cover the guy. And then I call him up like, hey, by the way, did you check this out? This kind of happened. Not to be a dick or anything, just, let them know what happened. You just want to, you don't want to seem like I'm better than you or anything. No, just, hey, man, to learn, 'cause a lot of times coming up, I actually got in trouble. Like they said, callbacks. I'm like, what are my callbacks? Nobody told me. Nobody's letting me know. I can't get better if you're not letting me know where I'm failing at. So I'm not going to take it wrong. I'm trying to improve myself. I'm hungry. I want to learn.
That's interesting you say that because I watched your intro video and your first few videos, and I'm like, God, this guy's pretty mean, like, because you've got some video clips in there, and I'm like, no. So it's interesting that you're fairly nice guy and stuff. So
That's part of the
the montage.
No,
I
wrong word. Pick another one.
Whatever. Pudgy.
I was always a believer that your name in this trade means a lot. It's a small community. I mean, everybody in the supermarket, I don't know how it is in other places, but in the supermarket, it's a very small community. Your name is everything. So you don't want to be known as that guy. Oh, there's people that can be the best technicians, but if nobody wants to work with you, it's not going to go well for you.
Correct. I've been that guy.
So I've seen people be pretty much blackballed because nobody wants to work with them. Like, no, it's sad. I mean, it's really happening where they just don't hire the guy anymore.
It's all about what we're doing. I mean, we need to be better at what we do, and what I've been screaming this for a while now, but just leave the trade better when we found it, regardless of what you do, whether it's rack refrigeration or commercial refrigeration or residential refrigeration. Be better than the next guy. Just let's do a better job. I've seen too many things half-assed and just thrown together. It's like, why would you do this?
People just don't care.
And the people who are doing it know better. It's just we've got to be better.
Yeah, before I leave a machine room when I'm done with the call, I usually prefer to turn off the light. I just look back and everything I touched, everything I did, it pretty much runs through my head one more time. Okay, what was the original problem? This happened because of this and this and this. Did I miss something? I covered A, B, and C. Did I look at D? So a lot of the times I kind of just like, let me go back and check it out. Because, I'm really trying to cover all my bases, So I want to...
That's exactly, and that's the problem is people don't do that. I get here, I fixed it. No, it's fixed. I'm out.
Blinders.
And they leave. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Did you really fix it? You were here for a half an hour. Did you see it run? Did you see it run for an extended period? Did you?
Breaker was off.
Yeah, I mean, like,
why was it off?
Let's make sure. Because the problem is the callback cost more than the first call. So yep. I mean, you're costing everybody money at that point, and you're costing time. I mean, the next call doesn't get run because you're running the call that you screwed up the day before.
You mean making final adjustments?
Exactly.
I like that.
Exactly.
On the video that Ryan mentioned earlier about the clicks on that was burnt, that was 4 days in a row that the frozen food went down. So by the time I got there, the manager was already upset. I'm like, okay. So that's when on the video, I'm like, all right, what happened is every time during defrost, and when I opened up that electrical, you guys saw the water, all the slime, and like, oh man, I got to wear some gloves for this stuff. But yeah, you got to cover everything. I didn't call the guys like, hey man, you missed this. Like, no, it's just sometimes they don't want to pull product. They're so busy and there's so many customers, they don't want to pull product for them. So it could have been one of those situations like that the customer didn't let them do their entire job.
And what they needed to do. I mean, that's understandable. I mean, and there's no doubt you gotta understand that part of it. But I try to communicate with everybody and just let them know what happened, even if they, it wasn't their fault. This hey, this is what happened, just so you know.
Yeah.
Looking at some people there don't have no callbacks. That's interesting.
Everybody has callbacks.
Yeah,
I
get a couple a
even the
year at
biggest
least.
superstars have callbacks.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a call back.
I document everything, all these possibilities that it wasn't doing. I'll be like, we might have failure problems with this, and that. And that pisses the one guy off. He's like, you never get any callbacks. I'm like, yeah, because I covered my ass and worked on exactly all these things it could be that it didn't do it while I was there. It's like, whatever.
I mean, every time we go on a call, it's always, well, y'all were just out here on this.
Oh yeah,
But
it never worked right.
You were just out here 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, well, this is a different problem. Like, I'm sorry, it was 6 months ago that we were out here, but you were just out here.
People have a short attention span.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite is for there's some guys that don't really it's callbacks because they don't look at the whole picture. But in the computers and the EMS, you can see every change a person does, like the auto trail. So they go in there and they put an offset in the sensor so it looks like it reached temp. And I'm like, I can see the time and the stamp when you did that, right?
Like
I'm all,
Oh yeah.
men lie, women lie, computers don't. So I'm like, I'm looking at it. You changed it at that time, unless the manager learned how to use the controller at 7 p.m. while you were there. Like,
Raise the alarm temperature higher.
Change.
That's the one I ran into. He took the alarm temperature up to 48 instead of 45. What?
This'll solve it.
I didn't say who.
Don't talk about that.
The big boss even knew it, so it's all right.
Yeah, anything computer related always has a data trail to tattle on you later.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
No, because I can't.
Everything does anymore. You can't stay. You're not gonna stay hidden for too long.
No, I got told not to change anything. If I did, make sure I wrote down what I changed and move it back when you're done. So I was like, "Yep, no problem."
Well, I try to if I'm going through a controller or something like that, I try to if I'm changing things, I try to write down the initial setting so I know.
I'm trying to remember.
See if I'm going to change all these things, but I want to know what it was set on before, so I can always go back if this doesn't work or if this screws something up or whatever, because you never know what the long-term effects are, down the line.
Sure.
So she says I can tell who we're going to talk to next week.
Yeah, but only when you gotta tell me when you're ready.
Well, it takes 2 seconds to say his name.
Okay, well you gotta say where he's from.
You got to remember, we can't hear the audio that you're doing right now, so nobody has a clue.
To.
Yeah, because we're talking over top of the audio when it does it. Is it no audio? I don't see no audio.
Just talk away, babe.
All right, so next week we're going to have Trevor Matthews on. He works for Emerson, and so he seems pretty cool dude. He's got tech tip videos, and he's got quite a bit of training under his belt. So I'm kind of excited to see what you guys can come up with for questions for him. He's done a lot of different videos on compressor failures, things like that. So he works for Emerson, so it's pretty broad. So he's. If you guys haven't seen him, he's on Facebook. So
try harder.
Yep.
Go research the guy. Come up with some good questions because
he's pretty smart.
Need some good questions.
I don't think anybody else has had him on or interviewed him.
We're not smart enough to ask the good questions, so somebody out there probably is.
As far as I know, we're the first ones. Yeah.
I got a question for him next week when you guys talk to him.
Okay. Yeah, because I put him right up there with the two main ones that you always hear about, and who knows? He may even be, above that. But he's so humble, that's key. And he just wants to help people. That's what I really liked about him. He's so happy-go-lucky and wants to help people. So I'm really kind of really interested in having him on and just, kind of see what we can learn off of him and things like that. So I'm really glad he's coming on next week. So
he does the, hey.
Let's get a conversation started, type thing at the end there. It's like, oh, okay, it's cool. So
if you can ask him for me, I saw a question in the comment section earlier. Somebody asked me if I like the site supervisor or the E2 better. The only time I've messed with a site supervisor was the first one, like the beta. This was like December 2017. A lot of people from Emerson came down, their technician, their engineers, and I told them, is this the first one in a supermarket application? I'm like, I want to know. I want to claim that I did the first one. I guess they put it in like a gas station for the lights, this and that. They said, yeah. So if you can ask Trevor when the first site supervisor was installed, I don't know if he knows the answer, but I did December 2017.
I'm
So
writing it down right now.
I wanted to see if somebody did that before that, because when I messed with it, there was still a lot of bugs. And they had conference calls every week. How's it working? How's this? And I told them, well, this and this happened. Your times are a little bit off. So they were fixing it as they went. So, I mean, that's the only time I messed with it, when it was in beta and there was still a lot of bugs in it. So that's why I'm like, I want to claim if I did the first one in a supermarket application.
So first site supervisor, when was it first installed? And you guesstimated December 2017 because you guys put it in.
Well, yeah, because when I did it, it was December, and there was a lot of individuals that came in from Emerson because it was the first one.
All we need now is your full name and location.
Yeah. Can we please
Your
get your
coordinates.
address?
They'll have
Mark
information
Doolittle.
because when they test it out, like, okay, this got installed. I mean, this was 4 years ago, so I'm like, if I did the first one, I want to know, just to be like, hey, I did the first one. But if somebody beat me like, oh no, yeah, if they say no, we did it in 2015, I'm like, never mind.
Yeah, crawl in my hole
And
now.
you said that year was what, 2017?
Yeah, at the December 2017. So if somebody installed one before that, then I'm like, okay, never mind, I can't claim that then.
All right.
They did a lot of the programming on that one.
Super.
Nice.
Well, guys, we're coming in an hour and 24 minutes, so I think we probably could start wrapping this thing up. It's starting to hit 5 till 10, so.
I'm getting tired.
Right. Yeah,
I wanna-
guys, everybody out there, go check out Refrigeration Confidential's YouTube channel. They're entertaining and informative, and they're awesome. I love
And
them.
then links in the description
Probably
down
better than
below here.
everybody else on the show. Hit the thumbs up, guys.
Yeah, hit the
Thank you
thumbs
so
up.
much for having me.
No,
And
I really
just wanna
appreciate you
give
coming
a
on.
Shout out to Reliable. That guy from day one has supported me, and Refrigeration TV. Those two guys from day one, they've always supported me. So shout out to those two guys, and thank you so much for having me.
Yep, both those guys got good channels too. Check them both out. Reliable HVACR and Refrigeration TV. I learned a lot off him too. So, but didn't you say he changed his name, or were we not talking about that?
Well, I think it's Blue Collar Rebel now. He changed it to.
Okay, so yeah, that's kind of the reason why some people have to stay confidential. So, just
Keep it up, man.
Yeah,
really
definitely
enjoy
keep
the
it up.
videos.
What might seem easy to you is valuable to us that are getting into it. I mean, it's just
Definitely.
yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm just
Valuable to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help anyway. I've been in that position when you're in the machine room, you're like, oh man, I don't know how to get out of this one. So I've actually had comments where like, hey, it's like 9 o'clock, and they're like, hey, demand coolant. I'm literally in the middle of that. So if I help you out, man, that's just great. That's all I want to do.
Awesome. I like it, and I really appreciate you coming in. That's awesome. So hopefully we got a lot of the answers out there, and we can always, if you want to, we can always bring you back on again later when maybe more people have more questions for it or whatever, and if you're up to that, so that'd be great too.
Yeah, of course.
All right, super.
Nice to meet you, man.
Well,
thank you guys.
You want to wrap her up, Pumpkin?
Can I flush it?
Yep, hit the button. Guys, thanks for coming in. Smack the thumbs button, and we will catch you guys on the next one.
Bye, y'all.
Later.
Okay, thank you all for coming. There's coffee and brownies out front.
And now, get out. Get out. Get out. Get out.
Okay, people, move along. There's nothing to see here.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.
You're still here?
Maybe do it again sometime?
It's over.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our show.
Go home.
And now,
the show's over.
The party's over!
Will you leave immediately, please?
I want to see motion, movement. Bye-bye.
good night.
Get the point? Good.
Now get